Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to the hopeful elect. The names that you just heard me say there in the ancient Hebrew is the names of the Heavenly Father and His Son. The name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh, which can be found in Exodus, the 3rd chapter, given to Moses via the burning bush. Bahasham means in the name. Ba-in, ha, the, sham is name. And who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, his name is Yahweh Shai. Yah is he, and Hawashai is Savior or Deliverer. Racha, Kodash, which is the Holy Spirit given on high for us to have the proper understanding of the Scriptures to edify the elect in these times. And just want to go over something that I was meditating on. Excuse me, apologies. And I just want to focus on the word image, and also to a degree on the word Poieo as well, with dealing with the Revelation chapter, the 13th chapter, right? And as I was meditating, I was just thinking about the word image. Now, before getting into the word image, I'm not sure if IUIC still says it, but they are one of the individuals that I know that were saying that when you go to Revelation 13, the image that's talking about there, right, that's what they say, mind you, that the image there is talking about an image of Jesus Christ, which that is incorrect and false. When you go into the word image in a Revelation, the word there is icon, which means an image, figure, likeness, right? So something that is akin or like to something, which the image of the beast is pretty much this place mirrors, right, the Roman Empire. But I want to tackle this from a different standpoint, right? Now, this is why it's good to have an understanding of words and understand what words mean. So when you go into think about it, right? Image. What is an image? Now, obviously, went into the blue letter, we saw what an image is, a figure, a likeness, right? Which is true, right? It says here a visual representation. I don't know why these ads keep popping up. A visual representation of something such as a likeness of an object produced on a photographic material, right? Which is all true, right? A mental picture, right? This is actually what I want, excuse me. A mental picture or impression of something. So when you think about the image of the beast, right? IUIC says, if they still say it, that the image of the beast is Jesus Christ, which that is incorrect. Going into words is very important. Starting off with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, they have always emphasized going into the etymology of words, just looking up the definition of words, because that paints a picture for you to understand. Image, as it has here in Merriam-Webster, a mental picture or impression of something. So if you have an image of something, that starts where, right? It says mental picture. It starts in the mind, an image, hence imagination. There is something going on in your mind. A picture is being formed of something that you like, something that you want. I'm going to use the analogy here of drawing, right? And I have something also lined up as well in the background, dealing with, let's use the idea of SpongeBob SquarePants or even Goku, right? The the whoever the person is that drew it, I think it says his name there on the thing, in the thing that I have for him. But the idea, right, or the image of SpongeBob SquarePants, or like Goku, if you will, from Dragon Ball, right, was a concept and a mental picture in somebody's mind. They had an image, an idea, right? It even says there, an idea, a concept, an idea, an image, a concept for something that they want to bring to life, which is, let's just stay with SpongeBob SquarePants, right? It was an idea that the whoever the person is that came up with SpongeBob SquarePants, whoever the drawer, the artist was, they had an idea, a concept, an image. But they had to what? Get that image and put that image on paper. So we're dealing with the New World Order. The New World Order is what? An idea, a concept, right? An idea that, hey, we have a plan up here in our minds, right? We have a concept, an idea, but we can't just bring it out there like that. Nah. So we have to what? Now, when a person has an idea, or an artist, person who draws, has an idea or a concept, right, in their mind, a character that they want to bring to life, they have to what? They have to get pen and paper, right? And what? Now they have concept art, concept drawing, sketches, if you will, of the character that they want to bring to life. That mental image, that mental picture in the mind, that idea, right, that was in their mind, they now want to put that on paper. So, dealing with, and that I believe that interview should still be up, the interview between Alex Jones and Aaron Russo, and Aaron Russo was good friends with Nick Rockefeller, right? Which Nick Rockefeller would represent the top banking families, the elites, if you will, right? Or Illuminati. And they have an idea, right? Or they have had an idea, concept that they want to bring to life, which is what was shared to Aaron Russo by Nick Rockefeller, that they want everybody to have a electronic device, just like what is written of in Revelation 13 and 16, in people's bodies. And that was revealed to Aaron Russo by Nick Rockefeller, who represents for the top banking families, the Illuminati, if you will, right? So at some point, that mental picture, or that idea, that image, that concept came into their mind. But they can't just push it out there in the world. So what? Like anything, like an artist would do, they get pen and paper, and what? They start drawing. That's where you have concept art, if you will, right? And you can liken that concept art unto, here we have in Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, and he calls it all, right? Who is the he? The top banking families, like I just revealed unto you with that interview between Alex Jones and Aaron Russo, that was revealed to Aaron Russo by Nick Rockefeller, that they want everybody to have a device inside of them. So the he is not an individual, nor is it the Antichrist, right? It is a group of individuals that have an idea, have a concept, have a plan. Now, the word here, cause it, when you go into the Greek word, is poieo. And it says to produce, to construct, to form, fashion, etc. Right? Let me see if there's anything else. Okay. So going back to this definition, the first one, the A, it says to produce, construct, to form, to fashion. That is essentially what happens when a person has an idea, i.e., the example I'm using here of SpongeBob is that what? You have an idea, right? Concept art, right? Think about it. The idea of SpongeBob SquarePants, what we know today, right? He's yellow. He has the laugh, which that comes later because you gotta get the voice actor and stuff, right? But his clothing is like brown and white. The tie is red. He's yellow. He has the long nose, the two gap teeth. But that is something that is not just okay. The person sees that and they just know. There is concept arts, rough drafts. So anytime something has happened in society, this is where you have the order ab chaos come into play, right? Problem, reaction, solution, right? They cause a problem, the people react, and they bring a solution. So that you can liken unto the same way with the drawing, concept art. The person starts drawing the character. This isn't it. But they don't throw away, some people do, but they don't throw away those sketches or the drawings, right? Because I'll use, for example, just to make this a little bit easier to understand, like the character Goku, right? Akira Toriyama, when he was making the character Goku, he didn't just have that image and was like, okay, that's it. No, there's like a little blurry image, but you have an idea of in your mind of what you want, how you want this character to look, even how he sounds and things like that. So the character of Goku, we know how he looks today with the spiky hair, the orange gi and everything, but at some point, there was different drafts of that character, right? And with that, those different drafts, it started to Akira Toriyama, or even the person who came up with the idea of SpongeBob, started to construct, to form, to fashion their idea of what they wanted this character to look like. So we know Goku is not super Brock or anything like that. So Akira Toriyama in his mind eventually said, maybe through some of his drafts, maybe he had drafts of Goku being super Brock, let's say, right? And it's like, nah, I don't want this character to be super Brock. I want him to be muscular, but not too muscular, right? So then he got, maybe throughout his drawings, he has a drawing of a Goku body wise. It's like, okay, this is the perfect build for him. He's muscular, he has muscle on him, but he's not too muscular, right? But the face, the details of the face, the hair, and all that type of stuff, even the color of the clothing, that didn't come into concept yet, right? But we're getting a draft. So he keeps one of those papers. He's like, okay, this is how I want the build, the body type of my character to look. Then eventually the face gets into being, then the hair, and then it's what? He takes in one of his stills the body type. He takes in one of his stills, he got it right with the face. He takes in one of the stills, okay, I got the hair right. And he brings all that together. It's like, okay, this is how I want the character of Goku to look. He has the right body type, the character's face how I want to look, and then the spiky hair as well. Now we have an idea. Now what I had in my mind for the character Goku has now come to life. It is no longer an idea. It is now produced on a sheet of paper. And then eventually what it becomes, they animate it. You get the color of the clothing that you want. You get the voice actor. That's where we get this now. Hopefully it shows up. Now these are, please show up. Of course, when I want to show, it doesn't show. You see, maybe if I go back. Okay. Hopefully it shows now. Come on, bud. What's wrong with you here, B? What are you doing? God damn it, son of a bitch. Okay. I had this whole thing set up nicely too, and fucking Satan, bro. That's irritating me. All right, give it a second. Maybe it'll load, right? But again, okay, perfect. Thank you, Yahweh Shah. Perfect. Okay, so you see here with some of the pictures, right? Again, like I was saying, there was an image, an idea in the whoever the artist was for SpongeBob of what the character they want. But over time, what things start to get sculpted down, things get, it starts to get more fine tuned, right? Here you have what he, even before he wasn't originally called SpongeBob SquarePants, excuse me, he was called Bob the Sponge. But then you see over time, you have just this round sponge, but then what? Through concept arts, what? Eventually they start giving him a form, right? They start fashioning how it wants. You can see the rectangular body of what you have today, right? But at first he was known as Bob the Sponge. He didn't have no arms. He didn't have no legs. He just has a mouth and glasses that you see up there in the top left. But then after, start to fine tune that. So what? You start to have the outline, right? You have the you can see the teeth, right? You can see the body at one point went from round to now you see one of the, on this picture right here, it being more square-like, right? Then eventually you see a little bit more of what we have today, not entirely close, but what? Right? You have that square body, the face, the teeth, and all that. And even now, his name is no longer Bob the Sponge. Now you have it being called Sponge Boy. And then eventually from that, it gets, the drawings get better and better, tighter and tighter to now what we have today. This is now SpongeBob SquarePants that you see today. But before you got here, you had concept art. You had all of this going on. The idea, the concept art of what you wanted. And it's the same thing with this New World Order dealing with the MOTB. It has nothing to do with a picture of Jesus Christ. It has to do with what? A system that they want to implement in the world. But that idea, that concept, doesn't just spawn out like that. You have to have concept art. You have to have you have to have concept art, drawings of what you want. Things that happen in society, you can liken that unto the concept art. The people react to certain problems that they put out there. Then they come up with the solution. And this is all the concept of how they want to form and fashion society into their new world order that they want, dealing with the MOTB. That small device, the size of a grain of rice, that John the Revelator in Revelation, the 13th chapter, saw. But that idea, again, is a concept. It's sketches, it's drawings like you have here. And then over time, that drawing becomes fine-tuned, right? You have these very, how can I say it, discombobulated, if that's the word, drawings of SpongeBob here, where he looks very weird. He almost looks like a potato. But then the outline of him becomes more perfected to where now we have that square character, the eyes, the teeth, the cheek thing, right? Now you have what? It's no longer black and white. Now you what? It's getting more fine-tuned. Now you're getting what? The color. Then after that, now you have again, like I was saying, what you have today of SpongeBob SquarePants. Then you what? Animate the character. Now he has to move. You have to bring that image to life. You have to give him a voice as well. You see? All these things lead to bringing that idea that you have in your mind to life. Do we see, now if you were to question IUIC, do you see anything dealing with Jesus Christ bringing that to life? This is why, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, they've always emphasized what? The importance of getting into words. So we see that, going back to the definition, right, of image, that mental picture, right? We understand that mental picture, that idea, that concept that the elites want. They want to enslave everybody. But how do we do that? So over time, they started doing things in society, making things happen, right? You can liken unto that to concept art, drawing, sketches over time. And over time, that becomes more fine-tuned to the point where you're starting to see the image of what the artist really wants. And you start seeing, this is the character that I want to bring to life. And now, using with society, what do we hear a lot about? CBDCs, digital IDs, right? Digital identification, making things digital. We're not hearing anything about tying Jesus Christ with that. We're hearing everything dealing about identifying you, changing you. Who are you? And how can we identify you? Not having to identify you with your belief in Jesus Christ, but no, how can we figure, who are you and who are you in our new society? How can we identify you in this new world order that they want to bring up? And the way that they're planning to do that is by verse 16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. See? So now that idea that was in their mind, through planning and going through implementing things in society, has now went from an idea, a mental picture or a concept in the mind, to now it is now being formed, fashioned in society, and now it is coming to fruition. Just like the analogy of SpongeBob SquarePants. Bob the Sponge, it was a round sponge, but then over time started fine-tuning how you want that character to look. He started looking very weird, looking like a potato, but then after a while you get the square body, you get this, the red cheeks, the smile, the two buck teeth. Then you start adding color to him. Now you change up the name, no longer Sponge Boy, but SpongeBob SquarePants. And you see over time that character becomes the idea of what the author or the, not the author, but the artist wanted. And then eventually you animate it and you give it a voice and it comes to life. Your idea that was in your mind is now and essentially living and breathing and things like that in a way, right? Now it has a voice, it can talk, right? When it's animated. And that's the same thing with the plan of the elites, right? It was a concept, it was an idea in the mind. How do we get this out there? Well, we have to do things to society, form, fashion, construct, so that way we can get our New World Order idea, our plan, the way that we want it. It's the same thing here. That's why I want to, go in that direction with this lesson, right? Going into the word image. Now, again, this image, going into the word image in the blue letter, yes, this is the likeness of the Roman Empire, but even going into a simple definition of the word image, going into the idea. What is the idea? What is the image, the plan that the elites want? Right? Because we understand they have a plan, they have an idea. So what is that plan? What is the idea? And how is their idea or their plan going to be played out in society? And when you look at things, right, which Lord's willing, I would like to do a news and prophecy as well, but not right now. But this came out, Eldad Tazwam did a lesson on this. But you have here, Apple launches digital ID that will be accepted by TSA. So again, like I was saying a little bit earlier, you're having this come out about digital ID this, identification that, right? If I'm not mistaken, Aharon mentions it. Track, trace, and identify, if I'm not mistaken. TTID, if I'm not mistaken. Track, trace, and identify. Has nothing to do with you looking at an image. It has nothing to do with you believing in the image of Jesus Christ. There's nothing to do with that. It has everything to do about enslaving people via a small device the size of a grain of rice. And that's what John the Revelator saw on the island of Patmos, right? Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Let's focus on that first part. And that no man might buy or sell. So think about it. Let's say if we were to question IUIC, right? Bishop Nathaniel, whoever, on this idea. How does people's belief in white Jesus Christ, how does that belief tie into, if you don't believe in a picture of Jesus Christ, you're not going to be able to buy and sell? Please explain how that makes sense. Please tie that into how people are going to be prevented from getting anything. Pretty much buying and selling is pretty much participating in society. Please explain, IUIC or Bishop Nathaniel, whoever, how believing in the white image of Jesus Christ, please explain how that is supposed to prevent people from partaking in society. And for those of you who follow IUIC or believe in that nonsense, please really think and explain that, really resonate that in your mind and try to really explain that to yourself. Think, how does that really make sense? That if you don't believe in the white image of Jesus Christ, that you're not going to be able to partake in society. Really let that resonate and marinate in your head and really think, does that make any sense at all? And on top of that, not only does that make any sense at all, seeing as how we're living in the last days, is that what I'm seeing happening in the world right now? Is that what they're doing right now in the world? Are the elites tying anything to the image of Jesus Christ? Are they doing that at all? So then how could that be the image of the beast? No, the image is the system, the new world order that they want to set up. And you're seeing that being tied around with identification. As I mentioned, the article that I just showed you with Apple using digital ID, and TSA will approve of it, or maybe approve of it, right? I mentioned Aharon, where he mentions the TTID, track, trace, and identify, right? What is able to track, trace, and identify you? A small device the size of a grain of rice. The people over there in Sweden have it, right? Or they have, to a degree, how can I say this? I don't want to say a concept, but they have a pretty good draft of what the elites want. Let's say that much, right? But the elites want a little bit more than what people over there in Sweden have, right? So going back to verse 17, you won't be able to buy or sell, which is partake in society, without that. And using Sweden as an example, they have that there to where, hey, if you don't have that, now it's not mandatory over there, but because it's becoming so prevalent, they have it integrated with society to where, hey, if you have that thing, you're able to open or unlock your door, unlock your home. You're able to wave your hand at a vending machine. You purchase something, and then the vending machine will open for you, right? So it gives you ease of access to society, and that's essentially what the MOTB will be presented as, something that is, ease of access for society. It'll make life easier, right? You won't have to worry about losing any of your identification, because your identification essentially will be tied to you by it being inside of you. And just making it very simple, for the love of God, I mean, the thing even says in your right hand or on your forehead. It has nothing to do with a salute or anything like that. It is a device, and that's what you hear about. Listen to these people. Stop talking about, oh, conspiracy theories. If you just listen to what the elites or their mouthpieces say, they will tell you what they want. The same thing like us. We're the mouthpiece of the Lord, and the Lord is telling you what his plans are through his mouthpiece, which is his prophets. It's the same thing on the left-hand side with the elites. They're telling you what they want. They're telling you that they want to move forward with AI. They're telling you that they want to move forward with what? Digital identification. Klaus Schwab says the fourth industrial revolution will not where society changes, but where you, the person, will change. How are you going to change? Integrating technology in your body. A movie that I recently was kind of watching, or I was watching clips of, was Terminator Genesis. And in Terminator Genesis, if you know about Terminator, John Connor, who was the leader of the resistance, at the beginning of the movie, spoiler alert, but it's an old ass movie, you should have seen it by now. One of the Terminators pretty much reprograms John Connor's whole cellular body. I forgot how the terminology they use for it. I apologize. But pretty much they turned John Connor into a Terminator. He was John Connor. He had all the memories of John Connor and all that. But by using nanoparticles, they infected John Connor. The machine grabbed him by the mouth. Pause, but grabbed him from behind, grabbed him by the mouth from behind, and then injected those nanoparticles into John Connor to where what? Instead of killing John Connor, we're going to change John Connor. And now John Connor is now what? Going to be a Terminator. And he had those nanoparticles inside of him. So the same thing like Klaus Schwab said, the fourth industrial revolution will be not where society changes, but where you change, where we will merge man and machine together. Yuval Noah Harari talked about that same thing. The cloud, the data, the storage. The elites will be able to control pretty much the world by having data on people. See? Data is what? Identification. So by them having all these things, this is how they'll be able to control you. This is how they'll be able to lock you out of society. That if you don't have their device put within you, you won't be able to partake in society. And if you don't have that device, how are we able to identify you? Because that's what you keep hearing, identification, identification, identification. Even dealing with kids, what kids watch, they want to be able to identify who's on the internet, to protect kids from what they watch. We have to be able to identify who is on the internet and what are they watching, what are they consuming. It has nothing to do with a picture of Jesus Christ or who the world calls Jesus Christ or believe that Jesus Christ is. It has nothing to do with that at all. It has everything to do about implementing a system, a plan that they had in their mind, and bring that mental picture that they had to life. The same way I use the example or the analogy with SpongeBob SquarePants. The artist had an idea, a concept, and he brought that to life through the different sketches, through the different concept art. And over time, that idea, that concept art became fine-tuned to what you have today. And now you have SpongeBob SquarePants. It's the same thing with the plan of the elites. And we're seeing that their plan is becoming more and more fine-tuned, or essentially you're seeing it being fine-tuned to what they want. And it has nothing, again, to do with a picture. So you could say this is like a message to Bishop Nathaniel and IUIC, which I doubt they'll see this video, but to anybody in IUIC, Please explain, instead of just saying it, please explain, just like how I can break down real quick what the mark of the beast is, which I just said it. It is a small device the size of a grain of rice. And with that, if you go into the word mark, it has three Greek words there. The first word there is charagma, which is basically a cutting in the flesh. But like anything, if you're going to cut into something, you need a sharp instrument to do so. So the next Greek word there is karax, which would be a pale, a stake, a palisade. Think of a stake with, not zombies, with vampires, right? Sinners that came out. What were they using to stab the heart of the vampires to kill them? A wooden stake, so it had a sharp object. So what would be the modern sharp object, used to put something inside your body? A needle, a syringe. And then the third Greek word there is grapho, which has to deal with the records. Very easy how I just broke down to you what the MOTB is. It's a small device the size of a grain of rice, and John the Revelator saw people getting it in their right hand or in their foreheads via a syringe. Excuse me. So, to IUIC, please explain how the image of Jesus Christ is going to prevent people from buying and selling it today. But they won't. They won't ever explain it because they can't. That's why they're doing their workaround to now talking about digital identification and things like that. Because they know even they can see, and they know that eventually their congregation will see that, hey, this ain't, let me take this off real quick. Okay. They know and they see that, hey, eventually we ain't going to be able to run with that theme of, the image of the beast is Jesus Christ. Eventually people going to wake up, and some people going to start asking questions in that congregation that are of the elect. Yo, what you're talking about, we're not seeing that play out. So do you really have the truth or not? And they don't. They have some truth, but not all truth. But like Elder Apostle Bar always says that, hey, you need 100% truth. Because in these times, you're going to need 100% understanding to understand what the hell is going on. Because we're entering into a very crazy and dark times. And you're going to need 100% truth in order to navigate these dark times. So I'll end it there. I pray and hope that this video has been edifying. In ending, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to those who elect. Shalom.